Unfortunately, one too many times I've come across people that have what I like to call the always right attitude, where no matter what they say or do, it's 100% true and correct, and if you disagree with them, then you're wrong by default and you're to blame for that dispute. You'll see it everywhere you go. You'll see it in politics, for example, where people take to social media and they angrily post their opinions in a way that there's no room to disagree with them. You'll see it at work, where you have that obstinate, coworker or supervisor who, whenever there's a problem, the only solution that exists is the one that they want to go with, and they don't want to hear anything else. You'll see it in relationships even, where you have that partner who believes that by virtue of being them, they're always right, and if there's ever a disagreement, then you have to apologize. Now, the common theme in all these scenarios is that the person isn't actually right, but instead they just want to be. And I think it's important to understand where this comes from. And I'd point to one of those factors being the very comfortable upbringing that a lot of people have these days, where there's no true adversity or hardship that they're faced with that proves to them that they could actually be a flawed person. And also, a lot of people are never told no, so that whenever they throw a temper tantrum to get whatever they want, their parents and authority figures pretty much give in every time, creating this incentive for them to behave that way. So they carry that mentality with them forward through to adulthood, where they genuinely believe that they can never be wrong. So to those people, I would say that there's a number of reasons to consider a change of heart. The first of which is that the always right attitude seriously damages your credibility, where eventually people will pick up on the fact that you don't care about anything besides winning the argument and being right. So if you do have an aggressive partner in a relationship, for example, who believes that they're always right just by virtue of being them every time you have a disagreement, then eventually you're going to start thinking that they don't actually want to make that relationship work. Instead, it's all about their ego and establishing some kind of power dynamic where they're always in control. And nobody really ever wants to sign up for something like that. Now, in addition, it doesn't solve the problem because, believe it or not, there are actually other priorities at play than just you being right. And you end up sidestepping the actual issue in most cases if that's all you care about. So if, for example, you're in business with somebody and you think that the way to advertise is to go door to door, and they come back and say, well, we should start a website or a social media profile because we'll reach a wider target audience that way, and then all you care about is just being right and winning that argument, then your business is probably not going to end up doing very well and you both lose. And finally, the always right attitude means that you'll never actually learn anything new, because if you're right, then there's no reason to. So when I do see those politically charged, angry social media posts, for example, I can't help but wonder if that person gathered all the facts and information that they could, which is very difficult to begin with, and then furthermore questioned their information and their sources objectively and unemotionally so as to arrive at a completely unbiased opinion. And I couldn't be far off if 9 times out of 10 the answer was no, which means that it was purely emotionally charged, and there's a lot of information that person doesn't have and likely never will. So all this goes to show that we shouldn't be going into situations with our minds already made up, thinking that we're always right, but instead we should be gathering all the information that we can, questioning that information, and more importantly, questioning our own biases. Namely, the bias that says that whatever we want to believe is true, regardless of how true it actually is, and the self-favoring bias that says that we can't be wrong because if we are, then that's potentially embarrassing. But if you go into something with an open mind and basically communicating that although you have an opinion, you're open to having a civil debate about something and possibly even learning something new, then contrary to what it might seem, it doesn't make you out to be incompetent and it's not embarrassing. Instead, you've just shown that you're the better person that has a little bit of self-awareness, humility, and maturity. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what you think and I'll see you next time.